I'm Dr. Fobi, a bariatric surgery expert. The other word is weight loss surgery expert. I've been in this field now for 32 years. I'm the medical director for the Tri-City Bariatric Program, and we've been doing this surgery at this facility for the last 10 years. Weight loss surgery is now mainstream surgery. That means everybody could do it who has the training. When I got in the field in 1977, it was tabooed. As a matter of fact, weight loss surgery was, they had put a moratorium on weight loss surgery in 1977 in the California area when I started doing this work. Because the surgery that was done at that time was intestinal bypass, and there were so many complications from it that people stopped doing it. So when I came in, the new operation at that time was gastric bypass, the most popular operation at this time. So I was one of the pioneers in that field with Dr. Mason on the East Coast that finally got gastric bypass accepted as one of the standard of care for treating overweight people. We're able to do enough surgeries to show that it is effective and that it is safe. And I would say that in 1977 we were doing close to 6,000 cases a year in the whole United States. By 1998 we were doing about 13,000 cases. And this year, 2009, is estimated that we'll be doing about 250,000 operations a year in the United States. So the surgery has come from a point where it was tabooed, it was not accepted, to mainstream surgery at this time. Back in 1977, when I got in the field, there were just two areas in the two meetings in the country. My meeting here, and I started one of the meetings in the United States, which brought doctors together to discuss this type of surgery. Dr. Mason, who is the father of bariatric surgery, had the other meeting in Iowa. And I ran that meeting here in Los Angeles through 1992 and finally gave it up because the society had become strong enough to have its own meeting. And so we now have the American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, which has yearly meetings. And we've grown to the point now where there are state chapters. So now there's also a California chapter of the American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery. I was on the first, I was one of the founding members of the society, and I was on the executive council of that society, and I have served on different roles in the administration of that society. My last position in that society was the president of the foundation, the one that raises money for research. And presently, I'm also the president of the International Federation for Obesity Surgery. That is the worldwide society that has 40 countries in the world. We have a total membership of about 13,000 members at this time worldwide who are doing bariatric surgery. I would say I have a fantastic sense of gratification to have been one of the pioneers in the field. To have been in a field which was disrespected, to work hard and persist in the field to make it become accepted and questionable, and then now to have it as one of the prominent fields in the field, it gives me a great sense of satisfaction. The meetings we had in Iowa back in 1978, when I went to the first meeting, there were 58 of us. Now, when you go to the American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, the last meeting we just had in Dallas had 3,100 people at the meeting. And when you go worldwide, as I travel to introduce this surgery in different parts of the world, for instance, I'm the father of bariatric surgery in Brazil, Venezuela, Mexico, because these are countries where I traveled to introduce bariatric surgery. I was in Israel back in 1987 to present work on bariatric surgery. We've been to London, Paris, I've traveled to India and Japan. And so I have a fantastic sense of accomplishment. When I leave today, I know I have left a legacy, and I have a satisfaction to see the number of people benefiting from the work that we have done in terms of bringing a field which was in their need for treatment, because obesity is recalcitrant. That means it is difficult to treat. When you treat patients who are obese with non-surgical treatment, the success rate is less than 2%. Whereas with surgery, we're looking at success rate of 60 to 90%, which is fantastic. And to have had this accepted and now being practiced worldwide is fantastic. When I started doing this surgery, the insurance companies did not cover for this surgery. Now the insurance companies cover for this surgery. The Medicare covers for it, Medicaid covers for it. And, but what is interesting is we're still operating on less than 2% of the people who need this surgery. So there's still a long way to go. Through the center, when I started doing this work, I was in academic medicine. For the first 4 years, I practiced in academic medicine. And then in 1980, I opened the Center for Surgical Treatment in Los Angeles. Through this center, we've treated more than 15,000 patients through this center. This is the center now here at Tri-City Regional Medical Center. So we have done our share. At one point, we had the only bariatric practice west of the Mississippi. And I had support groups in about 14 different states, extending all the way to Corpus Christi, Texas, and to Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City. I even had support group meetings in Alaska and Washington, Northern California, Nevada. So, but now we limit ourselves to the area around Hawaiian Gardens because there are many other doctors doing this surgery now, so we don't have to go that far. What makes this special is that we have the expertise. Tri-City is a center of excellence for bariatric surgery. And to be a center of excellence, you have to have certain equipment in place. We have the large beds, the large wheelchairs, the large cuffs that can fit patients up to 1,000 pounds. We have operating room tables that can take patients up to 1,000 pounds. We have anesthesiologists who are used to putting this type of patients to sleep. We use a multidisciplinary approach in treating patients at the center, which has cardiologists, pulmonary consultants, psychotherapists, nutritionists, gastroenterologists, anesthesiologists, and radiologists who are part of this team. So when a patient comes to this center, they know they're going to get the best treatment. Next, we do offer all the variety of operations that are available to patients who need weight loss surgery. The Fobi pouch, which is the prominent surgery we do here, the regular gastric bypass, the banding procedure, the lap band, the realized band, the sleeve gastrectomy, and the biliopancreatic diversion. We help the patients direct them to which of these operations we think is the best for them. The Fobi pouch is a modification of the gastric bypass. The beautiful thing about the Fobi pouch is that it works just like the gastric bypass, but I made some modifications in the gastric bypass to make the weight loss in the gastric bypass last for a longer time. Because obesity is not a short-term thing. You don't cure it. It's something for life. And with the regular gastric bypass, with time, the opening does stretch and the patient can eat more. The Fobi pouch puts a ring above the opening between the stomach and the small bowel. This ring keeps the openings standardized for life. So the patients eat the same amount now as they'll be eating 5 years from today and 10 years from today. That way the weight maintenance with the Fobi pouch is much better than with the gastric bypass. The gastric bypass has a success rate of around 70%. The Fobi pouch has a success rate around 90%. And that's the main advantage of the Fobi pouch. Often I'm asked, how did I get my name on the procedure? I didn't get my name on the procedure. It happened that when I described the procedure, people called it the Fobi procedure. And then it gradually settled down to be a Fobi pouch. And the name stuck. I was not the one that made that name. It just happened to be a description I made. The scientific name of it is the banded gastric bypass. but it's easy for people to say the procedure that Dr. Fobi does, and then with time they just called it the Fobi pouch. So it's nice when you live a life and you work hard and you have an eponym that would be in the medical literature for the rest of your life. That's a thing that very few people do accomplish. So I feel honored that my name got stuck to a procedure that is widely accepted and widely done in the world, yes. This is a picture or a diagram of the Fobi pouch. When I described this procedure, there were two reasons why I described it. One, before I described it, the gastric bypass was done with the stomach stapled in continuity. That's when they call it the stapled operation. At that time, staples will break loose and the stomach will reconnect and people will gain weight. So the first thing I introduced was to cut the stomach in two. And at that time, I also found out that patients will gain weight when the opening between the small pouch and the small bowel will stretch. So I put this ring here to stop that from stretching. So those are the two characteristics of the Fobi pouch. Right now, all gastric bypass that are done are transected to stop them from having the staple line disruption. And the Fobi pouch has the ring to keep that opening from stretching. And therefore, the weight loss is more than with the gastric bypass. And the weight loss lasts longer with this procedure, with a success rate of 90% when you use the Fobi pouch, as opposed to about 70% when you use the regular gastric bypass.